city of Malmo and speak to Orwa Ajjoub, who is a Syria expert. Orwa, thank you so much indeed for your time. Does anybody really understand, I'm not sure if Bassam heard me properly, about the size of those troops, forces, militia, whoever they may be, who are not willing to be part of the new administration? How big is the task for the new President Ahmed al-Shara's administration?
Thank you for having me. I don't think we have accurate estimation about the number of those involved in these operations against the new administrations. However, we have some estimates coming from the new administration saying that we're talking about hundreds. And so far, the new administration managed to crack down on them on different areas in Latakia and Jebel. But the exact number is really difficult to assess. Given that we don't know anything about who is participating in this. Is it only young men or those who went into the reconciliation, or old men involved in these areas?
That word is really critical that you've just mentioned there, reconciliation. Is there a problem in the way the new government is trying to become inclusive? If it doesn't have a concerted strategy for reconciliation, justice, forgiveness, moving on from the past, many people might feel, actually, I need to defend myself because otherwise I'm going to be persecuted by the new administration.
I think you raised an important point here, especially the idea of accountability. I think there is always this confusion between accountability and reconciliation. Reconciliation suggests that those people who were part of killing for 14 years, killing the Syrian people, are just now reintegrated or forgiven after all the crimes they committed. However, accountability requires acknowledging the crimes they have done, putting them into justice. And I think this is the missing part so far. Many of the supporters, loyalists of the Syrian new administration, they are asking for accountability. However, the track of accountability has been postponed for different reasons. And I think this is the main important issues. Many of those who went to the streets supporting the security apparatus in their crackdown on the remnant of the regime forces, they are basically enraged by the lack of accountability, and they are asking the Syrian government for it. And therefore, you saw many people saying that we are going to support the administration. We are ready to fight alongside the administration, because they are simply enraged by the lack of accountability, or by at least the postponed track of accountability. President Shara spoke about it a couple of times. However, we haven't seen anything tangible so far.
This is also where the Russians have a couple of bases, right, Orwa, in that part of Syria. And Bashar al-Assad is currently living in Russia. How important is it for the future of the country that he be brought back home and he face also the justice that many, many will be demanding?
Certainly, this is something that we've seen some leaks coming from President Shara meetings with the Russian delegation, suggesting that he had asked for Assad to be brought back to Syria. However, I think there are different political calculations for the new administration when it comes to the relationship with Moscow. First, Moscow is printing a currency note for the Syrian administration. Second, with the lack of clarity about how the West will engage with the Syrian new administration, the Shara might be willing to play with the idea that approaching Moscow could be a bargaining chips for his relationship with the West. So far, we have been seeing intense negotiation between Moscow and Damascus. We don't know what the exact result. We don't know if they will leave at certain point. However, what we know so far, that negotiations are still going on. We don't know yet if this will yield any positive results for the Russians that allow them to stay in the country, their military bases at least, for the long term.
Orwa, I believe it's the first time you've been with us on TRT World, and we really hope that you'll be back sometime. Really, really appreciate the analysis.
Thank you for having me.